So an 11th league defeat of the season, the 10th league game of the season without scoring. It's really not acceptable, is it? This is an Arsenal versus Manchester City match review. Hello, my name is Richard. Welcome back to my channel. Over and over again, the Positive Arsenal channel. In this video, I'm going to look back on yesterday's disappointing defeat here at the Emirates against league leaders Manchester City. I'm going to look at the team lineups. I'm going to look at the performance, and I'm going to try and select a man of the match. Just before I get into all that, I want to make sure that you are subscribing to my channel. If you like what is generally some positive Arsenal content, please click on the subscribe button down in the corner there. Please give this video a like as well. Share the content around. And if you've got any comments at all to make about the performance yesterday, about where the season's been going, about Mikel Arteta's management, or anything at all to do with Arsenal, please drop me in the comments box below, as I do love to hear from you guys as well. So the lineup was always going to be quite interesting, wasn't it? With this game coming in between the two legs against Benfica in the Europa League, I guess we all expected there to be quite a few changes. In the end, Mikel Arteta made 5 changes to the starting lineup, but 3 of them were actually in the back 4, which to me was asking for trouble. You want to keep some stability in your team when you're playing against a side like Manchester City, but there were 3 of the back 4 were changed, which I don't think really helped. So in goal was Bernd Leno, as expected, of course, a regular #1 goalkeeper for the Premier League. So in the back 4, it was only Hector Bellerin who kept his place in the starting lineup from the previous 2 games. The 2 centre-backs were Rob Holding and Pablo Mari, a partnership that has worked well in the past, but they've not played together for quite a while. And it was good to see Kieran Tierney back in the left-back position, obviously having not started for quite a long time due to injury. In midfield, it was Dani Ceballos who was given a rest, so Mohamed Elneny came in to partner Granit Xhaka, a partnership that hasn't previously worked. I don't quite know what made Arteta think it might work on this particular occasion. In the front 4, there was only 1 change. It saw Nicolas Pepe come in for Emil Smith-Rowe, but actually Saka didn't play on the right as expected. Saka moved over to the left and Pepe played on the right. Again, Pepe doesn't work on the right, so again, a rather strange decision. And once again, Aubameyang, despite his poor performance in Benfica, was once again through the centre. In terms of Manchester City, they also made 5 changes from their midweek win at Everton. And so this is how they lined up. And it was Ederson in goal as expected. Their back 4 was Cancelo at right back. It was Diaz and Stones in the centre and Zinchenko at left back. Their 3 in midfield was Fernandinho, Bernardo Silva and Gundogan, who was past fit despite there being a doubt over his availability. And in the front 3, they didn't actually play with a recognised centre forward. So it was Mahrez, Sterling and De Bruyne as a false number 9. So I say they made 5 changes as well. So De Bruyne was back in their starting lineup for the first time in quite a while. And Sergio Aguero was on the bench for Manchester City as well, another player who's hardly played this season. So they were your lineups for this game. The one thing you have to do when you're playing a side like Manchester City, you've come into the game on the back of a 17-match winning run, is start positively, start on the front foot and be strong and solid, certainly for the first 20 minutes. Keep yourself in the game and hopefully then get a foothold. But to concede the way that we did after just 2 minutes, and it wasn't even like it was a surprise. Very start of the game, across from the right-hand side from Mahrez, found Sterling at the far post. He missed his kick in front of goal. That should have been 1-0. And then just seconds later again, Mahrez beat Tierney too easily, got a cross in, and somehow 5'7" Raheem Sterling is able to get a free header from 6 yards in between Rob Holding and Hector Bellerin. Absolutely shocking defending. If that was on a Sunday morning game over the park, you'd be upset if your team conceded a goal like that. So for a top-level Premier League defence, that was absolutely dreadful. I don't think I can remember too many goals in history of Arsenal conceding as soft as that in my time watching Arsenal, which is now coming up for 40 years. Absolutely terrible goal. And for the first 10 minutes, we were all over the place. Man City should have put this to bed. They should have been 3 or 4-0 up. Sterling had another chance when he's run through. Leno did well actually to save at his feet. He maybe delayed shooting a little bit too long after putting Hector Bellerin on his backside. Again, absolutely terrible defending. We were getting ripped apart at will. And yes, after that, we maybe got a little bit of a foothold in the game. We started to pass the ball around a little bit better, but we threatened their goal very, very rarely. In fact, in the first half, we only had one shot at goal, and that came from our left back Kieran Tierney. In fact, at the end of the day, that was the only shot we had on target in the full match, and that kind of sums up where all the issues were. I say the midfield were virtually non-existent at all, but are we surprised when it's Xhaka and Elneny? That has never ever worked. Yes, players need a rest, but you've got to manage the squad properly. You know, we're playing against a very good side. We needed to play a much stronger midfield against Fernandinho, Gundogan and Bernardo Silva. Just was not going to be ever going to be strong enough with Elneny and Xhaka. Odegaard never got the opportunity to really have an influence on this game. He was having to drop deeper and deeper to get the ball. He didn't get the ball in the areas that he can be dangerous. And I suppose you could kind of see why Mesut Ozil wasn't working in this side, because again, a similar situation. If you don't give those creative players the ball in the final third of the pitch, they're not going to be able to create chances for you. And that was exactly what happened in this game. I don't think we can really analyse the performance without mentioning Aubameyang. What an absolutely dreadful performance this was from him. As club captain as well, you want some leadership there. Even if you're not having a good game yourself, you've got to lift those around you. When that goal went in after 2 minutes, we needed somebody on that pitch to G the boys up and really push them forward, and that didn't happen. Aubameyang is not a captain, and I'm sorry, but as much as he's done such a great work for this club, scored a lot of goals over the last few years, he's not a captain, and Arteta needs to step in, take the captaincy off him and give it to somebody who's much more of a leader. For me, the natural choice has got to be David Luiz. Failing that, Granit Xhaka, but somebody on that pitch who's more of a leader than Aubameyang is. This performance yesterday was probably the worst performance I've ever seen from him. He was dreadful. He couldn't control the ball. He was getting pushed off the ball far too easily by John Stones. Weak mentally, weak physically, just nowhere near good enough. And it really summed up the whole performance of the team, if we're totally honest. In the second half, we maybe played a little bit better, but we really threatened their goal. And what frustrates me more than anything is so many times this season we've been 1 goal behind, or maybe we've been drawing a game 0-0. In the final 5 or 10 minutes, we haven't thrown everything at it to try to get the goal that we need. In fact, in Mikel Arteta's whole time as coach of Arsenal now, which is just over a year, only twice have we scored an important late goal in the Premier League, an equaliser or a winning goal, just twice. That's just not good enough. And we don't look like doing it. We don't have any urgency in the final 10 minutes. Look at the substitutions that he made. We were chasing the game. We were 1-0 down. He's got Gabriel Martinelli on the bench, a player who can cause defences panic, and he brings on Dani Ceballos, who's not the sort of player that's going to get you the goal or help you to get the goal to get you something out of this game. It's just a ridiculous substitution, very negative substitution. To me, that sums up what Mikel Arteta is all about. It's almost as though he accepted a 1-0 defeat against Manchester City because, well, it's only a 1-0 defeat. I've seen comments on Twitter from Arsenal fans saying the same thing. I'm sorry, but I don't mind losing games. We're going to accept that we're going to lose games. Man City are a very good team, but you don't lose like that. You don't lose showing that little fight. At least throw everything at it and try and get something from the game. And if you don't, I'd rather have lost that game 2 or 3-0 in the final 10 minutes, chasing it, taking risks, throwing men forward. But it seems Arteta's happy to just lose 1-0. If you look at our defensive record and say, yes, it's improved, the reason why it's improved is because we don't take any risks. And for a club like Arsenal, that's just not good enough. We're in 10th place in the league for a reason, because this is the way that we're playing. In fact, I look at other teams in the Premier League, and there's not many teams that are playing worse football than we are. You've got maybe some of the teams at the bottom, maybe Burnley, Sheffield United, but no one else is playing worse football than us. It's boring to watch. We're not scoring goals, and it's just not acceptable anymore. How do we pick a man in a match from that performance? And it was average all the way around, wasn't it? I don't think any player really is going to deserve more than a 5 out of 10, if we're honest. It was a very poor performance. Leno did okay though, didn't he, in goal? Didn't have a lot to do, but what he did have to do, he did pretty well. He made a good save from Gundogan in the second half. He looked a little bit better with the ball at his feet, a little bit more comfortable, and his distribution was generally okay as well. So he actually played okay, didn't he, Bernd Leno? But he didn't have very much to do, so it's difficult to judge his performance. All of the back four were terrible. All 4 of them, dreadful performance from everybody. Even Kieran Tierney, who normally is pretty solid and reliable, he was ripped to pieces by Mahrez in them opening stages. Yes, he got to grips with it later on in the game, and he did get forward well at times, but some of his delivery into the box was poor. Usually expect better quality from him. We can maybe excuse Kieran Tierney because he's not played for a while, but that was poor performance all around there. Midfield was just dreadful, nothing going on there at all. El Neni and Xhaka, as we've already said, don't work together, just does not work. Two players that play the ball sideways, no forward drive, just dreadful. Odegaard didn't get in the game. He never got the opportunity to show his quality, so he was virtually non-existent as well. And the front three offered very little as well. I say Aubameyang was really, really poor. Probably the worst performance he's ever had for Arsenal. Pepe again gets a chance in a big game, fails to deliver. Not just his fault, he wasn't really played into the game, but even so, you've got to do more to justify your place in the team. The only one really who perhaps doesn't get any criticism from me, again, will be Bukayo Saka. It wasn't his greatest game, don't get me wrong, but at least he kept going. At least he was trying to drive forward. He was trying to make things happen. So for me, the only option for man of the match in this game is Bukayo Saka, the best of a very, very poor bunch. So it's just not really good enough, is it? We've now gone 10 Premier League games without scoring this season. We're not creating enough chances. We're not taking enough risks. And we're almost accepting defeats before the game's even started. It's just not good enough for Arsenal, is it? Yes, you know, the squad isn't strong enough. We know that. Some of the players aren't good enough. We know that as well. But also we have got some very good players in this team. And there's no way that we should be struggling down in 10th place in the way that we are. We should be, with this squad of players, we should be challenging for the top 6. And then we could have been building on that for next season, you know, with a good summer transfer window, and then try to build the team to challenge again. But at the moment, that's not even going to happen, is it? We're not going to probably get in the top 6. I don't think we're good enough to win the Europa League. I think this season is going to be a total write-off. And if that's the case, then maybe we need to look at getting a new manager in. Weak management from the top to the bottom of this club, rotten to the core at the moment, and it doesn't look like it's going to improve. Just not good enough at all. And I'm not really sure where we go from here. So that's my match review then of the game against Manchester City yesterday. Very, very disappointing defeat. It's not good enough at all, is it? Of course, we've got another big week coming up, haven't we, in the Europa League. We travel to Athens on Thursday to play the second leg against Benfica. It's really important now that we get through this game. We try and make it through to the next round. I say I don't think the squad's good enough to win the Europa League, but we've got to try and do as well as we can. And you never know. We never thought we could win the FA Cup last season. We managed to pull it off. So let's hope that we can do that. I'm not very confident. I think we will get through against Benfica, but I'm not sure if we'll go a lot further when we come up against some better teams later on in the competition. Stay tuned to the channel because I've got lots of good stuff coming up later on this week. We're looking ahead to that Benfica game. I'll be doing a preview video of that. I'll probably do a live show as well, maybe on Wednesday. I'm going on a few shows actually ahead of the weekend game against Leicester. I'm on a couple of Leicester channels. I'll also do a live show as well on here, previewing that game. I'll have a preview video out and all the usual stuff as well. So if you haven't done so already, please click on the subscribe button down in the corner there. Please give this video a like as well. Share the content around. Please drop your comments in the box as well, what you're making of the current situation at the club. For me, it's not good enough. For me, changes need to be made in the summer, but let me know what you think about that as well. Thanks for your support of the channel. Thanks for watching the video. Stay tuned, and of course in the meantime, ahead of another important Europa League game for Arsenal this week. Come on, you Gunners!